Namaste dear friends, this is Vijayashree Vijayatilak from Victory Shine Associates. I hope all of you are doing well. Today I am before you with the second part of this topic, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Now before we go too deep into the subject, I request all of you to watch the first part of this video where I have explained in detail as to what domestic violence is all about. In this video, we are going to learn how a woman or the victim can make a complaint, to whom and what are the reliefs. Now first of all, the woman has to make a complaint to the concerned persons such as the protection officer, the service providers or the police officer in charge. That is the jurisdictional police officer. Now, first of all, who is a protection officer? The protection officer is a person who is appointed by the state government of each respective states. Now, this protection officer usually is a woman officer who will assist the victim in filing a DIR. Now, what is a DIR? DIR is a domestic incident report. It is similar to an FIR. In this, what happens is, based on the complaint, a form is given, a form is filled up with all the details that is given in the complaint, and it is duly signed by the protection officer. This DIR cannot be made by the victim directly. She has to make a complaint based on which a DIR is written, and it is duly signed by the protection officer, and a copy of which is given to the judicial magistrate and another copy given to the police officer in charge of the jurisdiction. Now, once the DIR is made, the judicial officer makes an order to the protection officer to visit the home of the victim and make an enquiry. So, unless there is an order from the judicial magistrate, even the protection officer cannot go and directly visit a victim's home and make an enquiry. It is only with an order from the magistrate this can be done. So after which the protection officer makes an enquiry into what has happened. So usually what happens is they intervene, and sometimes what happens, there's a counseling given. Sometimes the matters are small enough and it can be sorted out with a counseling, but sometimes the matters are beyond that. In that case, what happens is there are so many reliefs given by the court. The judicial magistrate usually orders for protection. There are protection orders, then there are monetary orders for shelter, orders for medical aid and for custody. So under this, after making the DIR and after the copies are forwarded, it is a duty of the protection officer to to provide all the reliefs to the victim. Like, for example, to make available a safe shelter or a home for the victim in case the victim does not have a place to live. And along with her, she can always take her children too. Then, to ensure that the aggrieved person is provided legal aid. Sometimes what happens is the aggrieved person do not have knowledge about lawyers and how to appoint them. That time, it is the duty of the protection officer to explain to her that she is entitled to get free legal aid, and also make provisions where she gets her legal aid. She is entitled to get free legal aid, and this has to be explained to her by the judicial, that is protection officer. And in case the victim has suffered bodily injuries on account of assault or getting beaten up and things like that, so that time also it is the duty of the protection officers to ensure that she gets free medical aid. And after being duly examined, the report has to be collected by the protection officer, and a copy of which has to be provided to the judicial magistrate as well as the police officer in charge of the jurisdiction, so that they can take further necessary steps towards it. Then it is the duty of the person to explain to the victim of all the other remedies which are available to her in detail, so that they can avail such services. Sometimes it so happens that the women and children are not able to get any monetary benefits from the husband. They do not have any means to live. That time it is the duty of the protection officer to as per the orders of the judicial magistrate, to ensure that it is implemented, that she has to get monetary relief from the husband. Sometimes the victims are thrown out of the home. She would have been living in her husband's home and should have been thrown out along with her children. That time it is the duty of the protection officer to ensure that she stays back in that house, and a bond is taken from the husband and his family that no harm shall be caused to her when she is staying in that house during pendency of this case. So any such interim orders given by the judicial magistrate has to be implemented by the protection officer. Then comes the service providers. Now, who are service providers? Service providers are usually NGOs who are registered with the state government. So the person can contact the NGOs, make a complaint there, and the NGOs usually what they do is they forward the complaint to the protection officer in charge of that area and ensure that all these points that I've mentioned are done. But please ensure that the NGO is registered with the state government. Unregistered NGOs can also do the job, but it is not very effective. Then there are chances or circumstances where the the victim usually straight away goes to the police officer. Then there what happens, similar things happen, an FIR is filed, and that time the matter becomes criminal in nature. Once an FIR is filed, what happens is the person is taken into custody and is punished as per law. But now we are talking about Domestic Violence Act, which is purely civil in nature, and the main remedy for this is relief. They get reliefs like monetary relief, medical aid, financial relief, protection orders, custody orders. So all these are reliefs given to the victim by our government. So my dear friends, I hope you have understood this part of it. If you have any doubts, please do mention it in the comment box, or kindly let us know. You can call us in the given number. So my dear friends, if you have liked this video, please do like, comment and subscribe, and please do not forget to press the bell icon so that you can be notified of all our latest videos. My dear friends, so let us help one another. If at all you see any woman in distress, please try to help them out by contacting the concerned officers in charge. At least we can help our women folks in this way. It can be our sisters, it can be our neighbors, it can be our friends, it can be anybody. But we are all human beings. Let us help one another. Thank you, dear friends.